Hello, my friends. It is day 141, and we're reading 2 Samuel chapter 22 and 2 Samuel chapter 23, along with Psalms chapter 57. But before we get into our recap today, I want to thank you for taking a moment to check out this video. Hope you're finding the yearly Bible reading program to be exciting and insightful for you as you read the Bible every single day. If you have not yet accepted the invitation, please make sure you check out the description box below, and there you'll find the link that will take you directly to the YouVersion Bible app, where you can join a number of readers reading the Bible every single day and leaving feedback on the things they're learning. And so we hope you'll take advantage of that opportunity, and I know we'll be blessed as much as we hope you'll be blessed by your participation and your involvement in the group. So today we're reading back in the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel, and we are actually coming towards an end of the life of David. But there are a few more things that he needs to do as it pertains to setting the record straight for Solomon, and also just giving a few last words. Now, I must admit, today's reading was a little bit weird. I won't say awkward, maybe. It seems like there was a disconnect in the order. I'm not exactly sure why we are reading. Well, I take that back. I kind of get why we're reading what we're reading now. And it's particularly because of the way the book ends. So in chapter 22, you'll see that this is a song that is written at the end of the record of David's life, towards the end. But it's referring to a time when David was thanking and praising God for the things he did in his deliverance from Saul and all the other enemies. So if you look at it that way, it's kind of like a summary of things that God has done for him, and then a praise associated to that summary. Just kind of thinking through everything that he's been through, right? And then writing a song to praise God for his deliverance and for his protection. And so that's what chapter 22 is. And in a similar fashion, the 57th Psalm is that as well. And so even though it is more specific to the time where he fled from Saul and then went in the cave, it captures that part of his life that is also captured in chapter 22 of 2 Samuel, which creates some sort of alignment there. You know, it makes sense. Could we have read chapter 57 in 1 Samuel? Yes, we probably could have. But as you're thinking through his life and the things that have transpired, chapter 57 is just as appropriate now as it would have been earlier in the year. And so we see David thinking through these things and associating a psalm or writing a psalm in his thoughts towards this period of his life. Now, if you look at chapter 23, you see that these were, I'll say, it says in verse 1, these are the last words of David. And we may need to put asterisks by that, right? Because as we continue to read, we'll discover that David has a little bit more to say. But it's not recorded until we get to 1 Kings, right? And so these last words are obviously the last words pertaining to something unique, and not just his last words ever, right? And this is captured as we look at chapter 23. David is giving, or there's a summary given of David and how he, from the beginning, was raised from his father's house until he was appointed as a ruler over the nation of Israel. And so he's thinking over that, recalling what happened, and he's writing some verbiage here to capture all of those things. One of the things we see in these verses is his reverence for God, his sensitivity to the Spirit of God, and his understanding of what his place was in the nation of Israel. And I would argue that if you read chapter 23, verse 1 through verse 7, you're able to see, very clearly why God was so pleased with David. It's just this kind of thinking, this kind of understanding about what was happening in his life and how it aligned with what God wanted to do in creation. I think that's what David was really good at. He was able to see his place in the story that God was writing for his entire creation. And he made sure he was useful in every way possible. Okay. And so that was very powerful. Now, if you look at the end of chapter 23, you'll see that there is some attention placed to the mighty warriors of David and also the mighty men of David. I had a great conversation about this with one of my dear friends today, and he made an incredible reference to how the end of David's life highlights the role that those men who gathered around him played in building the kingdom. And when you look at this summary, you don't see a lot of attention placed to the, workers of the temple or maybe the aristocrats who would have known more from a ritual standpoint than those who were included in this group. But when you look at it, I mean, it's just a beautiful, as my good friend was saying, these verses demonstrate how David was able to bring the people who were experiencing very serious issues in their life and use them for the glory of God, put them in a position where they could manifest the plan of God. And he gives them the credit that perhaps one would say they deserve. And I just thought it was interesting and very powerful to see who David credits for the success that he's experienced. And you can see here how devoted they were to him, personally and as a king. And so no wonder he was able to capture that in these verses. So listen, there's a lot that we can pull out here, but I would love to know what you saw in today's reading. Leave a comment in the comment box below or in the YouVersion app, and I believe it would be a deep and a great big encouragement to all of us. But until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. And remember, live by the word.